George drove well, but if the car was lighter, it explained why it was hard for Lewis to get past him. Guys, I've explained this. I've explained it. I've tried to explain it. I really don't think this one pit stop strategy was intentional. But even though, you see, the devil works hard, but Team LH works harder. So even though they were trying to intentionally advantage George Russell, look at what has happened to them.
Through goes Hamilton! You can hear the cheers from Monza!
The mics are on and off we go.
Hi guys, my name is Winnie and welcome to the Worldspin Podcast, the home of Formula One content and everything motorsport. Formula One was racing in Belgium this weekend, and welcome very much to our Spa, the Belgian Grand Prix race debrief. So of course, Formula One, the track around the Belgium Grand Prix is Spa, and I won't say the second name because I think my French is so terrible. But one fun fact that I picked up this weekend was at Spa. You know the way like Formula One fans have their own Spa, and then there's a general meaning of Spa, like, you know, the pampering and everything. So actually it all originated from this Belgian town, this region where F1 races. So Spa, basically like the health through water. So the first, I think, hot springs and everything were discovered here a lot in that region in Spa, hence Spa. I hope that makes sense. I found that very, I don't know, maybe most of you know, but I didn't. Like, that's a fun fact I picked. I love a good fun fact. Yeah. So, we were racing in Belgium this weekend for the Belgian Grand Prix. And it's an iconic track. Like, drivers love driving around there. It's a classic. Fans love it. I mean, this track is the longest on the calendar as well. So, and it is among the 7 venues that hosted the inaugural F1 championship back in 1950. So it's been running for a while now. The Spa also has the highest elevation on the calendar. Elevation meaning the biggest difference between the highest and the lowest point on the track. And this track is really long, guys. Like, there's even a forest. Like, I don't know, I just think it's very scenic. And it's very, like, I think drivers love driving along it. And it's also very, like, it's a good track. So teams coming to this weekend, I think the track is divided into 3 sectors. The first sector, second, middle sector, and the final sector. And the first 2 sectors have the same, I think, like, you know, aero setup. So the first 2 sectors, like, I think they favor our low downforce setup, and then the middle sector, which is more tight and more technical, like a higher downforce setup. So sometimes it's a compromise for the teams and the drivers to make. Yeah, so it's actually like an interesting venue. And also because of the forest, there's, I think it's called the Ardennes forest. So sometimes it rains, it always rains in Spa. And Saturday, the qualifying was testament to that. And the other like challenge is that it can be wet because of how long it is, 7 kilometers. I'm very bad with distances and knowing how to estimate, but it's a lot. It's like long, really. So it can be wet on one part of the track and dry on another. So like it's really like challenging I think it's a good workout for the teams as well. So I think it's really like an interesting venue, and it was also around 14 out of 24. We have 10 more races to go, and I don't know, it's really been a long, things are happening. It's been so much. Let me quickly just go through like the things that stood. I know why you're here. I know it's been like hectic, people winning, being disqualified. I know why you're here, and just, you know, bear with me. Let's start quickly. I think qualifying was really, Max Verstappen, we knew coming into this weekend, most of the time he tends to take so there's the power unit basically meaning the engine and everything. So the power unit has components, and you have a free allocation of the components. There's a free allocation, so there's a specified number you can take without, you can change, bring a new one without any penalty being applied to you by FIA. But then once you get to the cap, most of the power unit components, the limit I think is around 4 for most of them. 4 or 3, 4. So Max Verstappen has exhausted his power unit components, and he was taking a new power unit. So that means he had, for every component you add, you're given like a grid penalty, like 10 place grid penalty for the first time. When you replace them next time, you get a 5 place grid penalty. So Max, coming into this weekend, knew he had that deficit. Like, he needed, the best place he could start a race is P11. That is if the best place. That means him qualifying on pole, and then now him, after the 10 place grid penalty, he drops down to P11. Yeah, so, and that is what happened. Max was mighty in qualifying. I don't know, I think Red Bull set up their car for those conditions, the damp conditions, because it was raining. So it was like wet all through quali. wet dump. Okay, yeah, whatever. It was wet. So I feel like the Red Bull team put, I think they set up their car for the middle sector, the more tighter, whatever. And then the first two sectors, they have fast flowing sections and long straights. And remember, Red Bull's DRS is very effective. So I think that compromise for them worked. Like, I think a higher wing, like a higher downforce setup for them. It confuses me, so I hope I'm saying it. Yeah, I think I know I'm right. Yeah, so he was mighty in qualifying. He was so good. He put banging lap times. I think he meant business, yeah. But anyway, he was going to take pole. And then Charles Leclerc inherited pole. Yeah, that was like good running. I think the biggest gains from Quali, or people who really like outworked, was Juan Bottas making it into Q2 for Kick Sauber, who still don't have points in this season, like, which is very, very sad. I think that was the one qualifying that I think really impressed me as well. And also, who else really who did anything? Yeah, Aston Martins, they seem to be back. They've been having a relatively like okay weekends, seeing as what they've been doing previously. Yeah, and also McLaren's really shocked me. I thought they'd have something, but then during that quali, but I think the best they could do was like a P4 or something. Like it wasn't very impressive. Anyway, that's like qualifying here is not even very important. Like, you can qualify P1 and not win anyways. And that's the trend. Like, that's the other, like, one other interesting thing that I've noticed, it's also like a fact that the last 6 races, the last people who've taken pole in the last 6 venues of Formula One have not gone on to win. And the 6 venues start from we had that from Canada. We had Canada, and then we went to Spain, we went to Austria, and then we did Silverstone, and then Hungary, and then now Belgium. In fact, no one has won. Anyone who's started on pole has not gone on to win. That is crazy. I think Formula One is really back. It's really captivating stuff. Yeah, so that was Quali. Anyway, I was saying it doesn't matter where you start, where you qualify in. It's not very important, like, where you qualify at Spa. Because in the words of the great Ruth Pascoe, former F1 strategist and an F1 TV presenter, you can undercut, you can overcut, you can overtake, you can win, you can lose. It's literally Spa. Anything can happen. So everything is powerful. If you decide to undercut, you can undercut people. It can work. Undercut meaning pitting before someone and then coming at them with fresh rubber. You can overcut. Pit after they've pitted, it will work. You can overtake on track. Brilliant. We saw all the good overtakes. I think I will tell you which one is my favorite, I think, overtake of the race. Yeah, so that was basically it. Nothing really else stood out for me in that qualifying session. No one was really doing any, apart from Max. Very impressive running as well. Lewis Hamilton had me at the edge of my seat. I was like, are we going to get kicked out of Q2 and Q1? Lewis, he was keeping me on my toes. Oh my God, yeah, he really did that. Yeah, so also, today I'm just full of fun facts. So Spa is also like very special for everybody in Formula One. So one of the greatest drivers as well, Michael Schumacher, who is a 7-time world champion, he won his first race at Spa as well back in 1992. Yes, so I'm trying to make sure that all my wheelspin babies, all my wheelspin fans, they know their facts. Correct. I love that for you guys, and I love that for me as well. Yeah, so basically let's just head into this race. Like, we knew Max is starting at the back, but also everyone was hyping him. Everyone knew he's going to be a favorite. But then I was saying at the back of my head, like, I mean, he's come from P14 at the Belgian Grand Prix and won a race. But it's no longer business as usual in the world of Formula One means business. Formula One has meant business for the last, I think, 6-7 races. In fact, yeah, it has meant business for a minute now, and we love that for us, by the way. Like, everything is coming alive. You can no longer just say, oh my God, I'm not going to watch that race. I already know how it's going to end up. It's no longer 2023. It's 2024. There's a new boss in town, and this boss is delivering. I want them monitoring my life as well, because I need to have the glow up that Formula One has had in the last couple of races, like in 2024. Like, I want that glow up as well. I love that for Formula One. I'm talking about Formula One as if it's a baby. I think, yeah, I love it. It's like a big glow up for Formula One. Yeah, so this race was really, yeah, everyone's like, yeah, Max Verstappen, they have like, yeah, the DRS is powerful, they are set up, they're going to win and everything. And it's okay, but like, this is a Formula One in 2024. Anything can happen, and anything and everything happened actually. Lando, not a very great start. Lewis Hamilton, excellent start. Took Perez. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about Perez. Perez finally made it into Q3, qualified nicely at least, but he missed the pole position. I keep on saying every time there's a question of, does Checo belong in Formula 1? Does Checo deserve that seat at Red Bull? Checo tells everybody, that sound bit on TikTok where they say, no one is going to tell me what to do or give me the time. Bring the proposal and, we'll discuss it here. So he meant business. He clocks in. Every time you're like, does Checo Perez? He clocks in. He clocked in for qualifying. And he didn't take pole, but like starting P2, lining up P2, he had like an excellent play. You could win from there as well. So yeah, that was good. So Lewis Hamilton overtook him. I don't want to take you guys through like the whole race. I'm gonna just talk about what really what stood out for me during the race. Of course, this race strategy coming into this race, and that's where I want to start my discussion. Coming into this race, the best strategy on paper is a two-stopper. Like, no way. Like, yes, two-stopper. You have to pit twice to change your tires to survive along the 44 laps. And so silly, it's 44 laps. 44 laps around Spa. If you know, you know. No, 44, do I tell you? Yeah, I don't want to tell you if you know, you know. 44 is the number of Lewis Hamilton. So, and we're doing 44 laps around Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix on Sunday. Yeah, so that was so silly. So anyway, two-stopper, that was the whole deal. And that's what basically the whole field seemed to do. Actually, only 2 drivers didn't do their two-stopper. And it's, of course, George Russell, who for a moment was a race winner, a 2-time race winner in 2024. So the 2 drivers who did the one-stopper was Tsunoda, because Tsunoda, I love you guys already. Like, if you come here often, and I thank you for being a returning listener. I am always vouching and rooting for Yuki. Yuki had a 60-place grid penalty again as a result of replacing the power unit components and other whatever engine stuff. So 60-place, he was literally starting in another country because, like, that is so way back. Anyway, like, it goes adding. So if you have, like, a maximum of 15, if you get any 15 grid positions, like, you have to start at the back of the grid. You're number last, essentially. Yeah, so Yuki, anyway, I don't even think there was much he was doing. He could do. He actually reported in his, his race, he said, like, the engineers were saying there was something happening. And I believe them. I hope he has a better other half of the season after we return after the break. And so I'm gonna start. Yeah, so as I'm saying, that was the best stopper, like optimum. When you go into a race, their strategies, everyone has crunched up the numbers, and they've decided stopping twice is the most optimal and the fastest way to get around the 44 laps around Spa. So anyway, so now this outlier, George Russell, pitted at lap 10, and for him to actually have this lap 10 for hards up to lap 44, and the distance here is 7 kilometers around. Like, that's a lot of over 200 kilometers, right? Like, I don't know my math. So he pitted at lap 10, so he was remaining with 34 laps, and it's 7 kilometers around. What is 34 times 7, guys? 34 times 7, that's 8. What is 2 times 7? 14 plus, I think, 2, around 160 something kilometers. Like, that is, but why did I think, plus the point something, I think almost 200 kilometers. Like, that is wild when you think about it. Or 170 something. In fact, let me not be a bad mathematician. Terrible. I think there's someone, Toto called George a race tire whisperer. Let me see how many kilometers he did. 234 laps of 238 kilometers. Like, that is insane. And that takes me now to the biggest headline, the talk of the town again. So Mercedes with Lewis Hamilton committed. It looked like a very well committed to a two-stopper. So that means they were racing. In fact, they were mirroring like the race of Charles Leclerc. So their race was with Charles Leclerc, because who seemed to be really like the biggest threat at the time. So that's who they were covering. If it's like going for an undercut, it's for Leclerc. And Lewis drove a faultless drive. There's nothing he didn't. everything on paper, everything was set to do, he did. Everything was meant to do, he did it. He did it. And then there was Russell, who was told, I mean, he asked on radio, he was like, no, can we run this into like a one-stopper? And I think, I keep on saying George is sometimes he comes into the weekends, he's overly ambitious, he's just giddy. There's always something happening. I want to be as delusional as George Russell. I don't think you guys will appreciate just the delusion of this man. I don't think guys we understand like how delusional, and his delusion is working. Look at him, like he took that win, like Evo too, like he took that win. Where did he win? I'm so bad with numbers. No, he won at the Austrian GP. Like he was just there, the right place at the right time, and he won here. Like okay, for a minute. He won here for a minute because of him he's just very stubborn about the way he wants his thing. So him insisting that he wants to be let to do the one-stopper was really balls on, like it's like balls on, be like, I want to do this, let's go meet. But then now the other biggest problem came in because after the race, Lewis is being interviewed, like, okay, this is a strategy we'd already talked about. So he wasn't, like that's something that was in the bag for him. And rightfully so. I mean, he was speaking like this before, he inherited a race win. So, yeah. I mean, Lewis caught Russell, and he couldn't get past Russell, even when Russell was on 34-year-old, hard tire. I mean, fresh rubber offers you more grip out of corners, and there's some fast corners here around Spa, and you can and we've said overtaking around here is not very hard. It's not very hard. It's not hard work, but also it's not like exactly easy work. But you have DRS helping you if you have good grip. In fact, we're expecting Lewis to actually get past Russell very fast. But then now, I had one question, and then I'm going to ask myself that question, and then I'm going to answer myself that question. So I was wondering, why didn't Lewis catch Russell? Like, why didn't he overtake him as, he didn't even overtake him on track? Like, why wasn't he able? Like, what was this? Is George so much of a good tire whisperer? But then now I went back to when George took the lead of the race. George took the lead, I think, around lap 30, 31. So he had he was running in the clear air. And these laps are not kidogu. Like, it's 30 to those are 14 laps, and he was in clean air. That means he's not really taking so much from his tires, and that's why he had also insane grip. He was not vacating the racing line when Lewis was trying to get past him. So George Russell knew what he was saying. For him to actually come on the radio, be like, okay, I think I can handle, can we do a one-stopper? Because he was running in clean air, he wasn't racing anyone, because George was he was only among the top runners. And then top runners, I mean top 5, top 6, who had not pitted for the second time. So that means if he had pitted, for him it was he was going to risk it all, because, I mean, George coming into this race, no one had it in the cards that he was going to win anyways. And for him to be in this position where he's like, oh, I'm leading a race, and by the way, I don't feel like I need to pit because I haven't been running in the dirty air of someone else. He's not been basically not running behind anyone, and that makes him exact and take so much from his tires. And that is why I think he was able to hold on to that lead with Lewis Hamilton charging behind him, because he was running in the clean air for a while. And remember, Lewis had to really eat into that gap that George had. Yeah, so if anything, the way we all expected George Russell to pit, so Lewis was going to just take his win. He had controlled his drive. So, and I think that is what happened. I mean, I think I've asked the question, and then I've answered myself the question. So now let's go to the other, Lewis saying that this is a strategy they had talked about with the team. And then, and then Lewis also making the comment that all the time he was being told, let's pit, his tires were actually okay. There was I think before his second stop, was it? Yeah. He was like, oh, whether my tires are okay, this one's might be okay. Yeah. He just said his tires are okay, but then it's one lap later he's being told, come in. And rightfully so, I think they were covering Leclerc so that they don't lose track position with Lewis Hamilton. And that's what we mean by they were doing everything by the book. And that's why maybe the whole narrative that Mercedes was trying, maybe they were trying to be fun, a bit cheeky. It's been not so long since we've had those. Are they trying to sabotage Lewis back at the Canadian Grand Prix when, funny things were happening at Mercedes? But for this one, I don't know, guys. I'm really struggling. I don't think I see it. This was really something out. I don't think it was a premeditated strategy change for George Russell. But should they have told Lewis Hamilton? Again, there's always that chain of broken. But I don't understand what. Okay, No, I was gonna say something so rude. I was gonna say like, why do you care what your other teammate is doing? But I think it's very important, and I think it's one of the biggest discussions. Mostly, Mercedes never split strategy. Whatever they do for one driver, they do it for the other driver. Apart from like when the driver insists, like I remember there was a race. I remember Valtteri was like, if you do that for Lewis, I'll do the opposite. Like, there was that, I remember that one race and I've forgotten which race. But most of the time, Mercedes do the same strategy. Mercedes does the same strategy for both drivers. So this was really like out of the normal for them. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it was a premeditated thing, if anything, for George Russell to do the one stopper. Yeah, so Lewis saying they had discussed it. I think I'm okay with him doing the two stopper with the events of like the post Belgium Grand Prix have gone. I think it's okay that he did the two stopper because he did everything right on paper. So George Russell ended up taking the flag with Lewis right behind him, and Piastri really caught Lewis. If you've given it a bit more dilly-dally, could have ended up being like a three-way fight for the lead, but I don't know how that would have happened. But Piastri was right there, and Piastri is showing the dog in him. I'm so proud of Oscar. You cannot believe, guys, this is his second year in Formula One, and he's like, I keep on saying, Oscar, you have the dog in you. Oscar, you can be world champion. I believe in you. I believe in you so much, you don't know. Like I do. He's so calm and collected. He inspires me. I mean, he was born in 2001. I don't know. Does that make you feel old, guys? It makes me feel old. Anyway, yeah. So George Russell took the checkered flag, celebrating. Of course, everyone's tire whisperer. Correct. Zobu Zobu. Yeah, that's the song I'm singing in my head. There was like great effort. Even me, I was applauding it because that's brilliant. Like, yeah, don't pit me. Don't. Can I do a one stop? I'm so sure he must have had like that smile on his face when he's asking, guys, I want to be left out. I know George Russell. I am so sure he must have had the biggest grin on his face asking for that strategy, and I know how much would never have. Do you guys remember? Do you remember every time? That time, the masterclass I pulled at Spa back in 2024. No, but I'm so gutted for him. So anyway, George Russell took the checkered flag, and in very true F1, F1 has a way, like history always repeats itself and everything. Like there's always, so FIA, as we said, there's so much that happens behind the scenes with Formula One. So there's a lot of scrutineering. Today, during the race, by the way, I saw one scrutineer, like a garage scrutineer, who watched the race. Alikuwa point next to Toto Wolff. Literally, he was standing next to Toto. He's like, I'm watching you, Toto. I found that so not funny. But that's the detail, the level of detail that goes into Formula One. So there's the post-race scrutiny where they weigh the cars to ensure that you were all running, the right cars. There's a minimum weight for the cars. And that's how they caught up George Russell. So George Russell's car was found to be underweight. So the minimum weight is 798 kilograms. George Russell's car was found to be 796.5 kilograms. So 1.5 kilogram less than the minimum weight allowed for the cars. And the funny thing is that they say there was fuel in the car. So there's also a procedure for the teams to drain the fuel from the car before the weighing is done by the FIA. So apparently Mercedes didn't drain the fuel. I don't know, it's giving scammer. I don't know, it's definitely giving that. Like, why haven't you drained the fuel? Anyway, yeah, so for that, like the moment you found to go against like those spotting regulations, like the teams know, and FIA had to disqualify George Russell. This is not the first time like a disqualification is being made for a driver who has won. Remember last year, was it Austin with Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton being disqualified for the plank where they were riding their cars so low? Yeah, so I think that is like one other reference point where FIA has disqualified drivers from a race after the race has ended actually. So George Russell, yeah, was disqualified from that race, from the Belgium. That means he loses his win. And I think there's also so much other detail to talk about it. Like, okay, so there's also one of the reasons maybe why they were caught out. Like, the first question was Mercedes like purposefully running like a underweight car? I personally do not think that is what happened. So of course there's been explanations by wonderful experts. Of course, I'm not like I'm just a self-proclaimed content creator. Self-proclaimed F1 podcaster. Yeah, anyway, so there's serious people who know Formula One, who are, they've gone to school for this thing. So the argument was that maybe, the more you wear your tire, the less the weight. So of course your car becomes lighter, and that is what happened to George. George having pitted lap 10 and then doing the same set of tires for 34 laps. That means less weight on the car. And then there's a lap that the drivers do, after they check the checkered flag, they go around again and they collect. I'll try to find photos of the scum. You see that it normally looks so sticky and yucky around the tire, like they collect all that. It's very intentional to collect that scum thing. It adds to get to that minimum weight that the FIA is actually looking for. So that means so the cars go round again and get that scum around. I'm calling it scum for lack of a better word, like they pick up rubber, but it looks so nasty. It doesn't look like the best. So it goes around the tire. So that helps to increase the weight of the car, and for the different teams to get to that minimum weight by FIA. And around this track, there's not that opportunity for the driver to go around. And I think maybe that is what caught out maybe George Russell. And now that begs the question of, I've seen a lot of arguments, especially by Team LH, saying they should have put Lewis Hamilton at the wet stopper. I think Lewis would have suffered the same fate. That's what I'm thinking. And he would have been disqualified if that's the same fate. Like, if that's the same strategy he would have had, not had he would have had an underweight car. That's what I'm thinking. That is what I'm thinking would have happened, by the way. But, I mean, I don't know if they void Yuki Tsunoda's car. I will check. But then Yuki finished... Yuki finished P17, so I don't know. I don't think that would matter so much if he was disqualified from the classification. But I'm guessing that is the same fate that would have got to Lewis Hamilton. So I'm like, Lewis Hamilton getting his win, 105th win, his 201 podium, like slay stuff. Like, he's really, but I can't believe we've been denied that opportunity to either listen to Crofty or to Alex Jakes, like give us that commentary of Lewis Hamilton's 105th. And this is Lewis Hamilton's second win in a month. Team LH, you guys are eating. You're eating so good. And I can't believe I've seen a very funny tweet. I think someone said, like, the prayers, it's like a backlog of prayers by Team LH. They've been saying from 2021. It's like it's being answered in a whole month. I mean, I hope this continues for you, but yeah. That is all about that whole controversy. I mean, Oscar Piastri, let me talk about my favorite overtake of the race, is Oscar Piastri on Charles Leclerc. Oscar Piastri that was a brilliant overtake, outside, not giving up, Charles Leclerc leaving enough space, and then he zooms past. I am so proud of Oscar Piastri. I cannot tell you guys how I cannot sing him praises enough. I am proud of him. I am so proud. And to tell you how important it is to run in the clean air, he was able to build a gap before he pitted the last time when George Russell took the lead of the race. Yeah, he was actually saying, the car is coming alive. The McLaren is still a fast car. And now he was running in the clean air. He was able to show the pace of that car. Lando Norris was unable. He had a very bad start, lost positions. He's lost positions out at the start. He didn't have a very good race, to be honest. Even him, he says that that first stint where he was overtaken was really it's not giving. He says he's embarrassed. I believe him. I believe the man, guys. Believe Lando. But also, I didn't understand McLaren's strategy, to be honest, with Lando. I just felt like it was a bit everywhere. Yeah. Not everywhere. I just felt like it was not I don't know if it was very, very well executed anyway. But that's a P5 finish, is it? P5 finish after George Russell is P5. Yeah, P5 finish for Lando Norris. He was not able to catch his championship rival Max Verstappen, who finished ahead of him. At least he was able to overtake Checo. I feel for Checo, by the way, guys. I don't know. I feel like Red Bull really just said, fuck you. They really said, to hell, man. And they gave him one of the worst strategies I have seen. Like, who was he covering? Who was he racing? I just felt like that was really misplaced. They pitted him so early, and then now he was vulnerable to other people later, like Lando Norris. Come on. And also, I know there was so much happening at the front. We didn't even see. Checo actually pitted for softs at the end, I think lap 42, and he actually took the fastest lap of the race. I think he really wanted like a maximum, point haul for a driver who's like all the time. He's like, is Checo coming back to Formula One? I don't know, guys. I don't think that seat is going anywhere. I think Checo will remain in that seat. Yeah, Ferrari finished P3 after, of course, P3 with Charles Leclerc. After that, George Russell disqualified thingy. Good effort. I mean, P3 and P6 for Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz also strategy wasn't the best. I think it didn't work out for him, but P6 and then P3 for Charles Leclerc. Not a very bad weekend. They don't go out on, like, it's just, and the top 10 weren't covered by so much, like less than, I think, 10 seconds or something. Like, that's close racing. Like, I think that is good. It's the right direction for Formula One. Yeah. And then we had Max Verstappen. I don't know. We've already talked about Max. Excellent qualifying, whatever. Finished behind Charles Leclerc. He was not able to get Charles Leclerc. Yeah, so I think that's good. Max Verstappen did not drive from a P11 to a P1. Shocking. But don't be shocked. It's Formula One in 2024. So, and then the other driver I want to talk about is, Daniel Ricciardo, promoted to the points, P10 for him. In also a very decisive weekend for him. I hear, he still doesn't have a seat for next year, so we're still waiting. I hear that Vica don't want to sign him. Those are just rumors. I don't know if he will sign there, if Liam Lawson will sign with Vica, or Ricciardo will be promoted to Red Bull. But I just want to say, I don't understand why we are skipping Yuki Tsunoda when we talk about the replacements at Red Bull. Yeah, let's talk about Yuki a lot. P9 for my ST bestie, who has a confirmed seat at Haas. Good effort, ST. ST, I believe in you. I don't know if you listen to this podcast, but I do. P13 for Gasly, no points for him. Aston Martin with points for Alonso. P8, not bad. P11 for Lance Stroll. Yeah. There's something I think interesting that I wanted to mention. Nothing. When it comes to Aston Martin, I think Sauber still don't have a car. I think they had to retire Zhou Guanyu with like an issue they had. I don't know. I'm so sorry for that team. They still don't have points. It's very Haas. They don't know. They were out of form. Like this was not their weekend. They were out of place. Like they didn't have rhythm, even from the rhythm we've seen before. So I hope they will be back bigger and better and doing better. Yeah. So that's it. I didn't want to forget about them this weekend. We talked about Mark. I have to count, guys, because last time I forgot to talk about a team and it hurt my feelings. Talked about Mercedes, talked about Ferrari, Red Bull, VCAB, Sauber, Haas, and who else? Alpine, and what else? Who else, guys? Who else? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know other teams then. If you guys have decided to forget like me, I will try to address them in the next one. Yeah, so anyway, I asked people to ask, like, now this is like the part where it gets juicy. So I wanted to make sure this episode was very interactive. Being the last race before F1 goes on a break, I wanted to get people's takes on this race. There was so much happening. So I asked people, what are your reactions? So I'll read some of the best ones and I'll write like... if you guys like your social media names are weird, but I'm so sure you guys will know what you said. Yeah, and I think first of all, someone said, I feel bad for Perez. He might lose that Red Bull seat to Ricciardo. We also feel bad for Perez. We feel bad for him. His strategy today wasn't the best, but he's also not had the best races. I was actually like going through the first races of the season in preparation for content that will be dropping during the summer break. So keep it a wheel spin. Yeah, so he was doing so well at the beginning of the season, and he always tends to do very well at the beginning of the season, and then he fades out. So we all feel bad for him. I also feel bad for myself because I'm not a billionaire. Come on. Okay, I'm actually more surprised with the outcomes of the race. The disqualification was pretty sad. Yeah, it's pretty sad for George. Gutted for him, but happy for Lewis Hamilton. And okay, I'm shocked by George's... Okay, this race has been interesting, definitely. This race was interesting. Was this a statement? This guy was really mad. An amazing race. I was clapping for George and Mercedes, even though I'm not a Mercedes fan. Yeah, we were all willing him. Both cars, really. And it's good of them to let them fight out on track. Okay. Amazing work from Lewis, beating twice and still closing it at half a second to George Russell was great. 105 wins for sure. Like that was, we've said Lewis did everything best on paper. Like that was really impressive start. And also it was not going to be hard to catch George because Lewis was on fresh rubber, very fresh rubber. George was on 34-year-old hards. Not gonna lie, I discovered that I can be a hater because Lewis Hamilton did deserve P1. I always know people are haters. You can never claim to like everybody. And it showed today. Karma worked. Team Lewis Hamilton was really mad after that race. They were like, we were not given the better strategy. Some people were even comparing it to Hungary. It's very different. I don't think Lewis was getting the short end of the stick with strategy. I'm so sure if they had beaten him the same, they had given him the stream, like made him stay for that one stopper, he would be in that disqualification thingy. Also, I can't believe that Piastri is a rookie. And boy, is unbelievable a champion to be. Yeah, we said he's in his second season. It's very impressive. His rookie season was also impressive last year. Like, very good. A lighter car equals a faster car. And the moment Toto said it is what it is about Lulu, I hoped karma would bite back. Yeah, Toto was asked before his best friend George was disqualified. Toto was asked about the race. He was like, yeah, good stuff for George. And then about Lewis, he said, it is what it is. And even now, as you're saying, it is what it is. Like it, but it was what it is, by the way. It's just that they can't change it. But then what would they say? What were they going to say? Someone says Lewis Hamilton's drive was superb, well deserved. That is Laura or Dara said. Lewis Hamilton's drive was superb, well deserved. That's a name I can now get. He did very well deserved drive. De Lulu for Lulu. De Lulu for Lulu. Someone put that on a shirt. And the way Russell was flying in those corners was kind of sus. But I don't know. Guys, please, we cannot be... I know it's always... We can never take Mercedes' word for it. Because we've seen them in the past do some tricky and funny things. But I don't think this one was like that. But, yeah. Move mad. Trust nobody, suspect everybody. Because we all know Hamilton deserves this win the way he fought for it in the last lap. But then, guys, I know everyone fights for laps. Everyone fights. If we go back to Imola, Lando was almost catching marks. You win a race not by deserving it, by winning it. Take the checkered flag. But for this one, Lewis really drove. He did everything he could and took advantage. Even when things were not working out for the winner, he was there to swap in and win a race. Okay. Strong lead by Lewis in the race potentially could have won. This is at Marchetti. He says, strong lead by Lewis in the race potentially could have won on track. So unfortunate for George, though. Correct. At Vivian _26 says, I feel bad for George, but I feel like Lewis was supposed to win this. He definitely had the tire advantage over George Russell. For sure. But then he didn't win on track, but he won. So slay of Lewis. Right from lap 1, this is Tony. I will just put a big screenshot of all your comments so that I can ensure everybody is featured in this episode. So check out our YouTube. All this you can see on our YouTube channel. But I'll read the ones that I can. Right from lap 1, Hamilton was set for the win, but if George Cars was perfectly weighed, he'd probably had a P3. What do you mean properly weighed? Do you work for the FIA? Afandi tafadhali. Afandi, please. No, but that's funny. The FIA, I mean, they've disqualified people before. I trust them on this. Honestly, it was special for Russell to actually get to win at Spa, but the post-race decision is a massive blow for him. Yes, at Charlo, yes. As a Red Bull fan, we are going through a lot. Sirs, and prayers. I'm happy when it's Lewis Hamilton winning. Kai, Russell can hug a cactus. Kai, you guys are not nice people. What? Lewis once again showing us that he is the GOAT. You know Bolsar, yes. Screw Mercedes, they tried to ruin Lewis's race. I agree. But also, yes, I wouldn't even argue with that. Guys, you deserve to feel the way we feel because I cannot even gaslight you because it has happened before. Your feelings are valid. George drove well, but if the car was lighter, it explained why it was hard for Lewis to get past him. Guys, I've explained this. I've explained it. I've tried to explain it, at least how I think with my self-proclaimed knowledge or whatever. I really don't think this one pit stop strategy was intentional. But even though, you see, the devil works hard, but Team LH works harder. So even though they were trying to intentionally advantage George Russell, look at what has happened to them. Okay, Lewis deserved that win, but extremely gutted for George losing 18 points. Man, I can't. Yeah, no, this is the second time, and this is all on the team, by the way. It's you to make sure that your car is at the right weight and shit, stuff like that. George Russell retired in Silverstone when he was poised to he was fighting for a win at Silverstone, and he retired on a on a water system issue, like leakage. I don't know. And yeah, he's lost points now because of the team. So sad for him. I mean, agreed. Checo must go. I found it, afadhali. That's the wrong hashtag. Kuna mtu amesema sina maoni. Mbona? Like, why don't you have views? This is Formula One. Everyone has opinions. You should have them and loudly talk about them. Someone says, 105, baby. Correct. I know that's right. I mean, a grid place penalty would have been better. Oh, for George Russell. No. With these things, especially when it comes to certain, like when you violate certain sporting regulations, automatic risk disqualification. Because we don't know, did you have a lasting advantage over the whole race? So, no, dropping position is not strict enough. Disqualify these people. All right. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you, guys. This was good. All the way up. It's a huge comeback, though, for Lewis Hamilton, correct? The race was interesting. I tried to read everybody's. Yes. Thank you so much, guys, for always engaging with us. Like, I have so much fun talking to you guys in our DMs everywhere. So, and I would really love for us, I think we've been stuck on this number on YouTube, especially for so long. If you just go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, you will be helping a girlie and helping grow the F1 community in Kenya, in Africa, in the world. You'll be supporting a girl. So go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell a friend, tell your friends to tell your moms. Formula One is for everybody. It's for the moms, for the dads, for the kids. It's for the grandmas and the grandpas. It's for everybody. Let's get everyone on this Zoom. So remember to subscribe to our channel. Rate us on the podcast platform you're listening to us from. And follow us on all our social media platforms, because Formula One is going on a summer break, and essentially a summer shutdown for the teams, these are some of the content we'll be addressing. What does that mean? F1 is going on a summer break. What is the F1 summer shutdown? What does that involve? Like, these are among the many things we'll be covering. The teams, okay, who has been the biggest winner, the biggest loser of this part of the season. Like, we'll be doing all that content in the next few weeks. Yeah, so keep it the Wheelspin Podcast on our Instagram, the Wheelspin Podcast on Twitter, or the Wheelspin Podcast on TikTok, or the Wheelspin Podcast everywhere. And we're not going anywhere. F1 might be on a break, but we stay on the Zoom. We stay alert and awake, because this is Formula One. Anything can happen, and we will happen as well. So thank you guys for keeping me company. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, and I appreciate you, and thank you for supporting us thus far. So have a lovely start to the week and a lovely start to the F1 summer break. Bye.